Hey everyone, I'm Bill, and welcome back to Fountain of Truth. Today we're going to get into a health issue that I've been struggling with for years. I've done some things to try to fix it, but it's like every few years I come back around to it. But I'm 48 now, and for about an easy 4 to 5 years, even as much as 8 to 10 years, I would say that my sleep quality and energy has just drastically gone downhill. Not to mention cognitive issues, brain fog, loss of memory, etc. Things along that line. I've always worked out or competed in something, one way or another, things that required a lot of energy. Whether it's my personal goals or coaching, I needed energy and stamina, and not to mention raising kids. Anyone that has kids, you'll know that that could take the majority of your energy. If you come home from work and you have any energy left, they'll pretty much sap it right out of you. But that's okay. There are kids, and we do whatever we have to for them. But I still say this all started when I was working nights. I would work 12-hour shifts, and then on top of it, I had another job. I was doing realtor stuff, and yes, I'm a licensed realtor as well. No, I'm not going to try to sell you a house or put yours on the market for you. It's pretty much just for me, just for my own buying and selling. But so I was doing realtor stuff during the day, and just instead of getting proper sleep, I was over extending myself and working too much. But there were times when I would go 36 hours without sleep, sometimes even a little bit more, but with some intermittent sleep mixed in. An hour here, 2 hours there, back up, going back to work, 12, 14, 16 hours again, see ya. I don't know for certain if this is when it started, but I tell my wife all the time that I swear I've never been the same since. It may have something to do with it, it may not. We'll get to that later on. But anyway, having enough energy to last throughout the day, even without working out, has been fading for years. I haven't worked those night shifts in almost 8 years or so now. And, there have been times since then where I get about 15 minutes into my workout and I'm tired as hell. Really to the point where I need to go to the locker room and lay down on a bench, and rest. I know it sounds goofy, but trust me, I feel goofy, when I do it. It's not like a heart issues or anything like that. I mean, we'll get to that too in a minute. I've had all that checked out, everything. My resting pulse is in the mid 40s. Blood pressure is 116/70, somewhere in there. It's really good. Don't have any, no issues at all. But yeah, so I'd have to just go. I just felt like, I need to take a nap. I'm not about to take a nap in the locker room, but you know what I mean. So I took about 8 months or so off from working out or anything, and mostly it was in part to I have arthritis, stage 4 arthritis in my left knee. I thought I had blown my ACL again in there, but it was just this arthritis, and actually I need a total knee replacement, but for some reason I'm told I'm not a candidate because I'm not old enough. I don't know what that's all about, but I do know what it's about. They're afraid I'm going to ruin their prosthetic device in 2 years and be right back in for an even more complicated surgery. But anyways, so I've been working out again and at a decent level for a couple of months, and I don't have nearly the same amount of instances where I feel the need to sleep during the workout. But I have had a few of those feelings afterwards. Like after, my workouts are typically about an hour hour and 15 minutes. I like to get in and get out. If I could somehow keep it under an hour, that would be better. But it's like right after my workouts, sometimes I would just be real tired. And it could be the first thing in the morning, it could be in the afternoon, it could be at night. It didn't really matter. I had gotten to the point where I was just, I was tired of being tired. And so, I had to start looking at some remedies and, going to doctors to see what could be done. So, what have I done to troubleshoot this so far? I'll start at the beginning to the best of my recollection, which is fuzzy, and let you know what I've done. But so since I wasn't getting good sleep, it was first recommended or advised that I have a sleep study done. I took a sleep study to see if I had sleep apnea or snoring or anything like that. So I went to the sleep center for the night so they could test me, and the test came back that I have very mild apnea, like 2 to 3 instants an hour or something like that. I mean, it was very, very low end. I mean, there are people that have 2 to 3 instances per minute. But even though it was low and borderline, even being classified as having sleep apnea, I still ordered the CPAP. The CPAP machine forces air in, so you're forced to take in breaths, and instead of the apnea, you stop breathing during the night. So I got it to try it. My level of apnea charted out so low that they just put it on like the lowest setting possible. So I used these settings for a couple of weeks and really didn't notice any improvement. So we started increasing the air that the CPAP supplied. A couple of weeks would go by, there'd be no change. We'd up the air, there'd be no change. Rinse and repeat. So after a few months, I gave the machine back, and because it's clear that it wasn't working, it wasn't helping, or that the apnea wasn't the issue to begin with. But hey, that was one thing to mark off the list. The next thing, and around here in these parts, the Mid-Atlantic and Virginia area, is Lyme disease. So that came up, and I'm always out in the woods. I'm doing some camping, hiking, whatever, dirt bike riding, or in rural areas in general. I do get bitten by ticks, from time to time. It's at least a couple times a season. I mean, heck, when you're out watching a kid's ball game, you get bit by a tick out here. And we just happen to have, some of the highest deer population in the country. Which in turn, I want to say that our area is one of the highest, if not the highest, Lyme disease per capita areas in the country. But, so when I first went in to get tested, I was like, oh my God, what if the doctor says that the tests show that I don't have Lyme disease, but that he feels I'm just lazy. So I don't know how I would react to that. I was like, well, what if that's not it? And I come back and he just tells me to stop being a pussy and suck it up. So some of the symptoms of Lyme disease are like they always say the bullseye mark, around the bite. You can have fatigue. You can have muscle and joint pain. Neck pains. Can be headache, fever. A bunch of other things. But it's just odd how this Lyme disease came about. I don't know enough about it, but growing up in this area, we never worried about Lyme disease or never heard of it. I'm running around, barefoot with no shirt on, through the woods, in the country all summer long. But anyways, so, but another thing, as an aging athlete, I can tell you that I have most of these symptoms daily. Maybe not the fever or the headaches, but the others, yeah, I wake up with them every morning. And I pretty much walk around with them all day. So like, okay, oh yeah, I've got that. I'm doing these check marks. So the first test came back negative. I guess there was some relief, but honestly, I'd be happy if there were, to say, "Ha, this is it. You've got Lyme disease. Let's start treating this and get on with it." But but it came back negative, and so a year or so went by, and I was still struggling. By this time, I knew that there were some new tests out there for Lyme disease, and I also knew that there was a lot of false negatives. They were saying that the tests were so poor that you could have 2, 3, 4, 5 false negatives, and then you go in to test again, and it comes up positive. And there's even false positives as well. So, what do you do? But now, mind you, I've never seen like the bullseye, like mark around a bite, which now they say doesn't always happen either. So, I was tested again, and it came back negative again. And as of today, it's common to have several false negatives before a positive shows up. Talk about frustrating. That must be very frustrating for someone who actually has Lyme's disease. I'm still unsure if I have it right now, but even with the better testing that we have these days, we still can't get a more conclusive test. Come on. But I don't know. This is, who knows? This disease must just be, I don't know, very stealthy, I guess. But, I haven't been tested a third time, but that may happen at some point. My primary care physician said that we should start looking at the next possible reason, and depression. Everything usually seems like, through my research, comes back to depression. You get the battery of questions. Do you feel sad? No. Do you feel lethargic? Well, yes. Do you cry spontaneously? No. Do you have problems in the bedroom? No. Do you have any suicidal thoughts? Now here, this was a different one, because I answered honestly to my doctor. I said, it's not something that I sit around thinking about, but I do have thoughts, and it's like but it's more like, if this doesn't get fixed, I don't want to go on living. It's not a sincere thought, put it that way. And the doctor even, he confirmed too. He goes, all right, well, you're not suicidal, so that's a good thing. And so I'm sure there were some other questions too, but those were the standard questions regarding depression. If you guys have ever been tested or gone to a doctor, the questions. There is quite a few more, but so we decided to try a medicine. I can't remember the name, but it didn't help, and actually gave me intense migraines, like 3 to 4 times a day, intense migraines. Now, I've had migraines for years. That's another little issue, but they're getting better actually as I get older. But these were intense and all day long, debilitating. So we then tried another medicine, which I can't remember the name of either. There's no migraines this time, but it didn't help. So at this point, I was done trying different medicines, and left this pursuit and just sucked it up for a couple more years. And then I started researching and hearing more about hormone replacement therapy. And I'm sure some of you guys are more familiar with it these days as well. But I had blood panels before to check with my primary care physician, to check for like thyroid and vitamins and minerals, testosterone, etc. Everything always came back as normal. Well, when we hear normal, we think everything is where it should be, and pretty much you can dismiss any of the findings because it's all normal. All right, I just want to be normal, and if everything is coming back as normal, well, I'm just fucked up, I guess. But so I started finding more research that what was normal, may not be the level that someone needs. There's a wide range of normal. So what's normal for someone may not be normal for someone else. Just because I'm at a level now that's normal doesn't mean that that's the level that I need to be. But so I decided to dip my toes in this direction, and I got my free my free testosterone. It's not a free test. It's your free testosterone, the testosterone that hasn't been binded in your body. But then I just did an online test. There's a bunch of them. You can mail it in. It was a saliva test. It took about a week and a half from the time that I shipped it off. My results came back as 57 picograms. I'd never heard of that until this, per milliliter. That comes out to 5.7 nanograms per deciliter. Well, the picogram ranges for free testosterone. They are from 49 to 185. Anything below 49 is considered low. Anything over 185 is considered high. So while I'm in the normal range, I'm at the very bottom of this range. So this encouraged me to go see an endocrinologist to see what they thought and for some further testing. At our first meeting, we went over the symptoms, health history, family health history, etc. This meeting was encouraging, and several tests were ordered. I did a thyroid ultrasound. I did a blood panel, and I mean lots of tubes. And I'm not lying, probably 10 tubes. It was a lot of blood that they took for tests. And a more in-depth saliva test. And the saliva test this one I did it multiple times throughout the day. It tested testosterone levels in the saliva, cortisol levels, throughout the day. So the only test that has come back so far as of this video is the thyroid ultrasound. And they did that to see if there's any nodules or any abnormalities with my thyroid. That came back fine. So I'm not sure what that means, but I guess it's just something to eliminate or mark off the list. So I'll go back into the doctor when all my tests are back, and we'll go over the results and determine a course of action. So that's where I am right now with this. I know this was long-winded. I have a tendency to ramble, but hopefully it's good info for those that might be in the same boat as me and are thinking about having some tests done. Evidently, you can be in your early 20s or even teens and have hormone irregularities. So it's not just affecting us middle-aged guys, but the last thing I'll add in this is so far is the cost. This particular specialist does not accept any insurance. I don't know if others do or not. I've heard both. I might get into that in another video, but you pay for everything out of pocket, and he gives you a super bill, or he or she gives you a super bill to send into your insurance company for reimbursement as an out-of-network provider. And your health insurance may cover it or part of it if you do have out-of-network coverage. So that's something to check with your insurance company if ensure that you have out-of-network coverage. Sorry, but so I haven't sent in mine just yet, but but I will soon. But so the initial visit, it was $400 just for the initial visit. The more thorough saliva test was $580, so we're already at $1,000 in the first meeting. And the other tests, he actually wrote a script for, so I believe those are going to be covered by my health insurance. But we'll see. Usually they'll cover at least part of the the blood tests, even if he is out of network. But well, there you have it. I'll be sure to update this as the results come in and we work out what protocol I should try first. I just thought I'd do this there seem to be so many other men and possibly women out there. There's slightly different protocol for women, but I can speak from my perspective as a man, but that there seems to be quite a few others out there with the same issues, and so more information that's just more ammo that you can go in, to your doctor with, and and hopefully get, keep being your own advocate and fighting for it. If you aren't feeling right and something, don't give up and keep seeking and searching for answers, and find a doctor or a different doctor or someone who will help you. So hopefully the video, will be useful to you. Please feel free to leave any questions or comments. Thanks for watching. I'm Bill. This is Fountain of Truth. Get what you came for. See ya.